So mom came into my office and said, well, I grounded him for a month. I am so angry at him. Now, if you have had a teen in your home, you know that discipline can get so tricky. It can get confusing. It can be tiring. It can also hit a mom and a dad against each other as you're trying to do this. We talk about some biblical ways to discipline your teen, and it really begins with a definition. What does it mean to discipline our teens? And immediately your mind's going to go to correction and maybe punishment, but it's about discipling our teens and understanding what is actually happening underneath the surface for that teen. And it requires attention, it requires energy and focus, but hang in there because it is all worthwhile as you're building relationship and guiding your imperfect teen towards adulthood. Now, it should be less about really the control that you're picturing in this and more about the intentionality of having a relationship and then being available and guiding. So I want to give you 4 main things to think about as you're thinking about discipline. These are kind of the 4. It's not the only ones, not all inclusive, but it should give you 4 to get you going super well. I've been counseling families with teens for more than 2 decades, and these are the 4 that I would say are the top ones for you to think about. The first one is listen to your teen. You got to listen in, figure out what is it that is really happening behind the surface. Teens may be disobeying or acting a certain way because of a part of them that wants something or a part of them that is in opposition towards you because of a relational thing, or maybe a part of them feels the pressure of peers and they feel that they need to do these things in order to belong, or maybe a part of them really loves risk and you do not like risk at all, and they're trying to navigate that part of who they are. There are many different reasons why teens tend to, in our perception, misbehave. They're trying to figure things out. And in the teen years and going into adulthood, they're trying to figure out what's right, what's wrong, what works, what doesn't, what helps me feel connected, what helps me feel good. If I try this, am I going to fail? Does this humiliate me? Does it not? And does this help me socially with my peers? A lot of big questions start to arise for teens. And as they get older, more of their brain helps them make more responsible decisions. And that's where it can get kind of tricky, where a teen has that adult body and they assume that they're in the know like any wise adult and they think they know everything. Really what they're doing is exploring beyond the knowledge of what they've been taught so far. And so as parents, if you enter with that understanding and saying, hey, tell me more about why you chose to do that, or help me understand why this would be the best thing for you right now. Really what you're trying to do is understand, and that's it. And you're coming in with a calm voice and an understanding. Even if they're disobedient with something, they chose not to do a chore that they've committed to, just say, hey, help me understand what got in the way of you doing this. Because I do believe you take care of those things, or you could take care of that. And you're showing that you believe in them and that something must have gotten in the way and that you want to listen in on that. Doesn't mean there isn't a consequence. You may be itching for that. What's the consequence? But this is about shaping your teenager's heart. And so it begins with listening. The next one is going towards a deeper understanding. What is it that they are actually wanting? What are they desiring? And then problem solve with them in that. As you're going into understanding, you're asking a lot of questions. You're asking for more information. And in that, you are understanding what it is that your teen feels they're anxious about, or that they're desiring so much, and then the why behind that. Then from there, you go to the next place of seeking to provide them with some direction. And see, those first 2 help build connection, that connectedness. And many times in my counseling, where a parent and a teen get stuck, there are relationship issues that are happening, and they haven't moved past that. They haven't had communication around what the hurt and the frustration is, or what the frustrations are. And then each thing becomes a battle. And so then the parent says, I can't discipline this child, they're hopeless, and really there's a relational issue there. But if you've done those first 2, listening and understanding, and you have a good relationship, and your child decides to misbehave, what you're doing is you're figuring out, do my rules have purpose? And does my teenager understand what the purpose of those rules are? I usually suggest having negotiable and non-negotiable rules. That's even with teens and just with your household in general. A non-negotiable would be drugs in our home. I mean, that's a perfect example of one. Or having sex in our home or before marriage. You could say that these are non-negotiable rules. These are rules that have a big purpose because they're destructive to your relationships, they're destructive to you. And so they're put in place out of a protection for yourself. Negotiable rules would be like bedtime and homework and when you get that homework done and cleaning up and doing chores. Those are negotiable ones. And really with teenagers, the older they get, really starting at 13, it's giving all those things over to them, saying, hey, you're an adult in our home, and now you get to practice all that. If they're having a hard time in school, maybe they haven't been getting their homework done. And those are kind of the natural consequences that you want to let them have. And that's why the rules can be negotiable, because you're allowing for teens now to have some natural consequences that come in. So the rules need to have purpose. That was that third one. They need to have some type of purpose to the growth of your teen as they're becoming more and more who God has created them to be. And you get to learn a lot about who they are. And they're going to do it imperfectly. So figure out your own anxieties and your own frustrations, where they're coming from, what your expectations are and why. And as you put in rules, maybe figure out, is my rule based out of fear, or is it out of truly building something intentionally, discipling this teenager? Does the rule make sense for what they're needing to learn? How am I guiding them in that? And as you're looking at this purpose side of things, involve your teen in that. What are some rules that need to be put in place for you as you learn to navigate you? As you go into adulthood and you have your relationships, what's the win for you, and how can I be helpful in guiding you there? See, in Romans chapter 7, verse 25, at the end it says, I myself serve the law of God with my mind, but with my flesh, I serve the law of sin. See, there's a battle we have inside of us. A part of us wants to follow God, knows what the right thing is and wants to do the right thing. And another part of us is in opposition to that and just wants pleasure and desire and acceptance. And there's insecurities and all kinds of things fighting in there in that brain side that is in opposition to the other side. Just think about your relationship with sugar. You may say, man, I want to cut down on sugar, but then there's like a cheesecake piece sitting there in front of you and you're going, well, okay, maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow I'll tackle this whole sugar thing. And then, so you go into that because there's this battle inside between what you know to be healthy and good and the part that says, man, this would feel really good, or it would make me feel good. So there's this battle inside of us, and Romans clearly talks about it. Talk to your teen about that. I wonder what battle is inside of you. What is it that is in opposition with what you know to be good? And how can I be helpful as you're learning to navigate that? We have a mind that we get to take care of. And so the rules need to take that into consideration. What are you building in the heart and the mind of your teen? So you don't have just a list of 500 different rules. What are the ones that are most purposeful? And make sure that you're in line with that. So the next one, the fourth thing that you need to keep in mind is clarity. Are the rules clear? Are they written out? Have you talked about the consequence? If you do this, this is what's going to happen. Let's say they're supposed to be home by 11 at night, and they get home at midnight, 1 o'clock. Maybe the consequence is they don't get the next weekend to go out with the girlfriend or boyfriend or friends, or maybe they give those 2 hours back and they have to be home 2 hours earlier. But really, it's about responsibility. It's not even about the time. When we're thinking about rules, let's think about clarity. Are they clear on what the rule is and what the consequence is to that? So hopefully that gives you 4 things to think about. Again, it's listening, and then it's going towards understanding, and then having purpose to the rules, and then having clarity to the rules that you're providing for them. Remember the verse in Proverbs 22, it talks about training up a child in the way they should go, and really understanding that they won't depart from that because there's a training involved. So this is a day-to-day thing. It's not a one-time deal or a correction where you're grounding someone for a month or even a quarter or a year. It's making sense of what is the training? How am I shaping this heart? And at the core of that is this relational component that you're taking care of as you're leaning into this with your teen, as you're stepping towards them and asking questions and getting to know their temperament, their desires, who they are. If you found this video to be helpful, be sure to like it and subscribe to this channel. We don't want you to miss any of the videos here. And in the comments, leave us some questions specific to this. What challenges are you having in disciplining your teen? There's so many variations to this, so many complexities. This is a starting point. I'd love to get your thoughts, your questions, your comments on that. And I'll see you again soon.